evening, did you not? George?
Hello.
Yeah, you did hear us say good evening. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Let's get started with this week's net. For those that are wishing to join the net, Zoom is open. You can contact us there on Zoom or join us on Zoom. If you do not have the link, please contact me on WhatsApp 082-859-2684, and I will gladly send you the link for Zoom. Let's see. Anybody ready to check in? ZS6 IPS standing by, go ahead. Yeah, I'm on handheld at the moment. Is that any better, Adrian? ZS6 IPS standing by. Adrian, did you not copy me now? Is it better? Even when I hold it up? Okay, 1903. Let's see. Are there any other check-ins? ZS6 IPS standing by. All right, good stuff. Let's acknowledge Chris, ZS6 JFK. Good evening. Any other check-ins, Adrian? I'm going to reposition, check on the next over for the readability, please. ZS6 IPS, still listening. Okay, 1904, ZS6 IPS standing by. Okay, ZS6 IPS still standing by. Right, second last call for check-ins. ZS6 IPS standing by. Right, last call for check-ins. ZS6 IPS standing by.
Chad, take the antenna further away from your body. It's busy. Half the message got dropped out.
Okay, any further check-ins? ZS6 IPS standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Let's get started then. Good evening, everybody, and greetings to one and all, and welcome to this week's net. Today is Sunday, the 5th of February, 2023, and the time is 19:05. We begin the weekly net with the radio amateur check-ins on the Ruraport repeater for 5 minutes before proceeding. This net is broadcast every Sunday evening starting at 1900 and is broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief CERT volunteers, and members of the general public and other interested parties. Everyone is welcome to participate using either amateur radio or Zoom, or both if you choose. ZS6OPS returning. I would like to remind all radio listeners or amateur radio listeners at least who have not checked in that you do not need to be a member of any group or club to check in, or to use the repeater or any of the amateur bands. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ECRN, which automatically grants you that right to use any of the amateur bands at any time. There is no need to ask for or be granted permission from anyone else in order to use the repeaters or amateur radio bands. I'd also like to encourage all listeners and participants to share the Weekly Net Zoom link with everyone they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us grow the Weekly Net and will contribute to disseminating information as far and wide as possible. Right, it's that time again. Let's unpack the weekly COVID-19 figures. And of course, this week, the figures are standing at 671,673,959 compared to last week's figure of 670,225. This is an increase of 1.4 million new cases this week compared to the 1.4 last week. So our figures were more or less the same. It's actually 33,000 less this week, whereas last week we saw a decrease of 476,000 at least. And as I said, that was probably due to the fact that various numbers had changed due to the festive season testing and reporting. Now, the death toll globally is at 6,844,306, compared to the last week's total of 6,823,000. This is an increase in 21,000 deaths compared to the increase of 84 in the previous week. And again, this is, because of that adjustment due to the festive season. South Africa's ZS6OPS returning. South Africa's COVID-19 figures this week has seen a decrease in new cases from the weekend in 1 February, or at least for the weekend in 1 February 2023, which is week 4. We have a total of 1,358 cases reported this week, whereas last week we had 1,506 cases. This is a decrease of 148 new cases week on week compared to the 210 of the previous week. Now, the death toll this week is actually for the first time from, I think it was about June or July of 2020, that we can actually report 0 deaths. It's the first week. So we almost, 3 years since the outbreak of COVID-19 to get to the point that absolutely no deaths were reported. So that is progress. Last week, only 7 deaths were in actual fact reported. Now, I see that George was with us and he has now dropped off. So I wonder if there isn't a problem on his internet. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. Let's move on to MPOX. And MPOX's global figures are standing at 85,527 cases globally, as at the 2nd of February 2023. And that is compared to the 85,382 in the previous week. So it seems that we do have a bit of a slowdown, and the decreases are starting to show in terms of the week by week figures. So this week, MPOX only increased by 145 cases. Now, following the current outbreak of measles, as I've said previously, I'm including the weekly figures in the interest of public health. And as at the 2nd of February 2023, South Africa now has a total of 406 cases compared to last week's total of 394. We saw an additional 14 cases being reported this week. Limpopo still leads at 146. Last week they were 143. Northwest with 124. Last week they were 120. Gauteng, 25 last week, increase of 2 this week. So last week they were only reporting 23. As ZS6 OPS reporting in terms of world reporting, returning, my apologies, I'm reporting on the World Health News or the World Health Organization news. And there's not much to actually report on this week. Very little happening there, normal day-to-day activities. And I think the biggest story of the week is actually the water that was restored eventually to several areas of the western side of Joburg after some areas actually experienced up to 72 hours. The majority of the other areas, 48 hours. Southern suburbs, parts of southern Joburg were also affected. They had no water up to 48 hours as well. Now, as I said last week, this is actually a cause for concern as the effects of the lack of water leads to all kinds of hygiene-related diseases, and we need to ensure that we as communities are in a position to combat these outbreaks. As quoted from the World Health Organization, a fact sheet, contaminated water and poor sanitation are linked to transmission of diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis A, typhoid, and polio. Absent, inadequate, or inappropriately managed water and sanitation services expose individuals to preventable health risks. Therefore, always keep water on hand for washing, let alone drinking, especially when we experience heat waves and high temperatures, as we have seen in the past few days. With a bit of rain this week, we definitely saw a decrease in the temperature, which was welcomed by all, I should imagine. However, always remember, when it is hot, drink plenty of water and stay alive. Now, one thing that, especially amongst radio amateurs, we tend to refer to this side of town, at least, being the West Rand. Now, in order to prevent confusion when discussing disaster, emergency, and health-related issues and information, I must point out that the term West Rand does not actually cover any areas of the western side of Johannesburg. The West Rand actually refers to the West Rand District Municipality, which covers the areas of Merafeng City, that's Galtonville, Magal City, Krugersdorp, and Rand West City, which is Randfontein. And I think that's the center of the West Rand, or at least the municipal center, if I can put it to you that way. So, you know, that is something that one needs to understand. It does not include any areas of Johannesburg or Roodepoort whatsoever. So perhaps it's time for us to get our facts out into the universe and start reporting accordingly and referring to the correct areas when we discuss matters. All right, so now finally in closing, I'd like to encourage everyone to register as a disaster relief cert volunteer and to prepare and train to assist local communities for when disaster strikes. And if there are any other amateur radio listeners who have not yet checked in, please provide your call sign now and I'll add you to the this week's list. ZS6 OPS standing by.
Down the handout.
I hope it's not a bad thing. Yeah, no, somebody was telling me there were a lot of flea markets, so I don't know. Radio amateurs have this habit of that. But anyway, yeah, let's be illegal about life, okay? Rory, just stand by, mate. Let's see. Are there any other check-ins for this week's net? ZS6 OPS. Yeah, and of course, just to let everybody know that Zoom is open. I've got Z6GRG George. This time actually seated at his desk, and I've got Adrian ZS6SNY. And Rory, just for your edification, I must tell you, our Captain Mayday is having a good cackle about the Baofengs there. So that being said, I'd like to thank all of those who have checked in this week's net, as well as those who have joined via Zoom. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing and is still infecting millions weekly, please remember to physically distance yourself and to wear a mask in order to protect others, especially the elderly who could lose their lives if infected with COVID-19. And of course, it's always best to sanitize and wash your hands on a regular basis in any event. For the week moving forward, be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy. This is ZS6 OPS now releasing 145.625 for general use. Cheers all. Yeah, Rory, maybe you should come up on Zoom, seeing as you pulled your handheld out. You've got the link. Use your phone and come join us quickly. ZS6 RBJ, ZS6 OPS.
Yeah, I don't have Wi-Fi and also have a charge backbone. I'm sitting with no power at the moment. This might be the backup. No longer surviving the 2-hour session that we have. There is a totally
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that we're going to have to address moving forward, because the batteries are definitely falling by the wayside. My alarm battery, I discovered, was as dead as a doornail on Friday when I activated the panic for an investigation that I wanted the local company to undertake. And when I did eventually make contact with them, they were prepared to send a techie out to come and swap out the 7 ampere-hour battery. Total cost implication 988 Rand. So I said to them, thank you very much. I've got enough batteries, I'll replace it myself, which I have duly done so. All right, Rory, let me chat to George and Adrian. I talked to you enough during the week. And maybe we need to just knock a couple of things out there with you at some stage again. ZS6 RBJ, ZS6 OPS.
Okay, cool. Now, the release is a little bit scratchy. I wonder what I sound like on this. I'm chatting on the alliance now. I started up for the first time in like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, look, you're sounding a bit scratchy as well. I'm on the high tier of PD485, which is sitting on the table here. So I'm on handheld. I'm not on any of my base antennas. Adrian did say there's a bit of noise. So what I will do is I will have a look at, I don't know why George is laughing. I don't know what's going through his mind. But I'll have a look at maybe using one of the internal antennas on the handheld for next week. All right, Rory, I'll chat to you later. ZS6 RBJ, ZS6 OPS.
Okay, cool. Cheers for now, ZS6 RBJ.
Good stuff, ZS6 OPS out. Cheers. And I'm glad it was the Allurance and not the Baofeng.